Well, hello, everybody. Just a little bit late. Joe had a meeting that ran late, but today we have the great Joe Ingram. He owns an enterprise called the Sales Genius, and that it is. But I'll let you find that out for yourself. We're going to be speaking with the Sales Genius today. Joe Ingram, the Sales Genius. What up, bud?
Hey. Joe's in the house.
Joe in the house.
We're live.
So, Joe,
yes.
Why do you call yourself the Sales Genius?
It was a name given to me. So what happened was originally in the automotive space, we put in what we called, let me spin that so I'm straight on. There we go. So we put in what we call a phone center inside a dealership. And it was called BDC, which was Business Development Center. So within that Business Development Center, after a certain amount of time, there was a bunch of them that got released and only a few of them were left standing, and they were mine. And then what happened was everybody said, oh, if you have an issue with your Business Development Center, your phone room, you need to talk to Joe. He's like some BDC genius guy. And so then that stuck. And it was like, okay, well, Joe's the BDC genius. Then I moved past that and started running dealerships in charge of this whole entire sales department. And then I took one dealership to 1,000 cars a month being sold, right? And your average one across the United States sells less than 100. So I was 10Xing. Grant's going to come after me. But so I 10X'd whatever. My average is like 89. And I took it to 1,000, and we were literally netting profit of $1 million a month.
Wow.
At this location. And I was ranked number 3 in the nation. So I wasn't even the top 2, right? But I was number 3.
So what does BDC mean for those people that don't know?
Business Development Center.
Okay.
Right. So once I got out of business development, yes. Since it was business development, then I moved into sales. Then it became Joe's now the Sales Genius because he just took a dealership from 600 cars to 1,000. And then I've done it several times since then by going into a dealership, taking them from where they're at and moving them to the next level as they go through. So that's where the Sales Genius ended up popping up. Was the fact that I was there. But again, I understand sales and I train people. So it works.
So we were talking before about communication, and you were thinking that would be a good thing to talk about.
True. That is a good good thought. Yes. So what would it be for communication? What I have always found was that as human beings, we learn certain ways. And if you look at it, we learn one of 3 ways. Okay, so we're either auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. Actually, we are all 3. But there's going to be one that you have as a primary learning style. The issue is that if I'm an auditory person, which I am, which means I learn through my ears, it means whatever somebody says to me is more important than what they show me or what it is I have to do. And then when you look at it and say, okay, great. So if an auditory person talks to an auditory person, they get along. If a visual person is helping a visual person, then they're speaking that same learning language, right? The output is going to be received on the input because it's in the way they need it to be. And when you deal with human beings, I'm just going to go back and say, guess what? When it comes to us being humans, right, we're going to communicate with each other 3 different ways. We're going to communicate with our body language. Okay. We're going to communicate with our tone and inflection. And then we're going to communicate with words. Okay. And JR, I'll pick on you. Which one conveys the most information when you and I are face to face or on StreamYard, Zoom, looking at each other? If we're sitting here looking at each other, which one conveys the most information? Body language, tone and inflection, or words?
I would say body language.
Body language. Good, because I put them in order on purpose. So that was it. So that's why I said body language and then go through it. Yes. Good job. Good job. And nobody knows that I typed it to you in the private chat over here.
I get my cookie now, right?
Yes. Yes. So again, it's body language. And we are taught as children, we are taught by somebody else using body language to teach us what to do. Right? If I said the thingamajig, if I'm in Spanish, I'm going to say the chingadera.
Nice.
Right? Okay. I'm going to say that, but if I'm not pointing at something, you don't know what I mean.
Right.
Right. So that's a sample of body language. What I'm going to tell you right now, we're communicating, aren't we? The two of us right now?
Doing a good job so far.
Yes. Score. Right. But based on the way we communicate, because we can see one another, when I say, look, we're communicating, it's more important that I say we're communicating with my hands when I say it this way than if I were just saying we're communicating. The body language says it. So this will be the test for everybody, okay, that's out there. And I'll be able to know your learning style based off of this. When I tell you, I'm going to tell you right now, here's a word, right? Yes. Okay. For everybody else, they went, that doesn't make any sense. That was opposite. Okay. Now, all the visual people will say he meant no because he shook his head. The kinesthetic people that need to feel something, they said he moved his head, like body language. That means no. The auditory people go, no, he meant yes, because that's what he said. Okay. See how we're like destined to screw up? Do you see how we end up getting so messed up with communication with each other, right? It's because of that. It's because we're sitting there and we have to determine, and we actually listen or see and interpret through our own filters based on how we prefer.
So we have to determine, didn't mean to interrupt, we have to determine that because we're getting conflicting streams of input, which one is the dominant stream?
So, and you have to determine that based off the person you're dealing with so that you can talk their language. But so what I did was I sat down and I said, okay, great. So when you said body language, which was spot on, it's 55% of our communication is body language, right? 38% of it is tone and inflection. So if I looked at you and said, nice glasses, or I said, nice glasses, right? The words are the same.
Right.
Okay. But tone and inflection tells you that I meant something different.
Exactly.
In those two things, right?
Because it could have been nice glasses or it could have been some kind of snarky, nice glasses.
Right. And coming from me, it's probably snarky and sarcastic. So when you look at that, that's important to know. So once you understand that, okay, that 38% of our communication is coming from the tonality. That means that 7% of our face-to-face communication is the actual words.
Wow.
Right? And so if you look at that, I can turn around and tell everybody here and I can say, oh, well, that's because the pickle that was walking down the road. And then I go, okay, the dog that was walking down the road. Okay. So if you couldn't see me, you wouldn't know that I went, oh, and gave something different. You would say, I don't understand. He said the pickle was walking down the road. Then he said that the dog was walking down the road. What are we talking about? Where visually you saw me with my body language, catch a mistake and repeat it to you. Okay. So face to face, we get a lot of forgiveness on the words we use.
Right.
Okay.
But the problem
so that's why we do StreamYard.
Right. If exactly. But if you're like this,
so
and then
that's where I've made
here.
All of my success has been over the phone. I look just like Brad Pitt over the phone. Okay. So I'm there. Brad, it's me and Brad. You can't tell the difference between the two of us on the phone. We look the same.
It's true.
Yes. So when you go to picking up a phone, what did you lose? Body language. Right? That's why as human beings, we crave video because we've all been taught to speak with our body as a helper to get the words out. Now, when you pick up that telephone, what happens? You lost body language. It now becomes 80% tone and inflection and 20% the words you're using.
Right. At one point, I was told that we learn 85% of everything through visual and 15% smell, sound, everything, all the other senses.
All the other stuff. Yep.
Yep.
And so our eyes are what take in so much of the information. So again, you blinded somebody when you pick up the telephone. Exactly. And that's why people, when you pick up the telephone and talk to them, they already don't trust you because they can't see you. Okay. And so we'll get to some tips to get through that. But when you deal with that and you say, okay, great. So now it's 80-20. So at 80-20, it's 80% how I sound. So it's really important that my tone and inflection convey the message I'm trying to get. Okay. Or the one I'm trying to give. But it's a 20% about the words that I'm using. Now everybody goes, who cares? As long as I sound good, we've got that. But I'm going to tell you what happens is you're using words that require your body language back when it was a 7% word. Now we're at 20%. That's almost 300% more important. So you're going to end up bombing over the telephone because you talk to people the way you talk to them face to face. And everybody goes, talk to them like you're your friends. And I said, no, we can do that, but we have to elevate our words. So if you're dealing with a closing percentage in the world of sales, it's how many people do I interact with versus how many do I get to do a demo, and then how many do I get to actually buy from me. Okay. So looking at that over the phone, I'm going to drop because I don't have 55% of my ability to communicate. Now, how is it we communicate with most people today? Text message, instant message, and email. So what happened? What did we lose there?
A lot.
Tone and inflection. It's 100% the words you're using. So now understand, and I'm going to pick on you, JR. You are using words that only require 7% of the importance, okay? But you're using it on the phone. So now it's 20%. So you're off by 13% immediately based on the choice of words. Now what happens when I say you took a 7% word and you're using it on text, email, and messenger, where it's 100%, you got a 93% chance of failing because you're using words that require your tonality and your body to explain it. Right? Wow. Look at the Italian population. How do they talk? Everybody is talking with their hands, right? They always say, you want to stop an Italian from talking? What do? Tie their hands. Right? Exactly. So, but that's the equivalent of what we're doing to the world when we force everybody into text message. So if I text message you today, JR, let's say you and I get off this call and we just argue, fight, and decided we're angry at each other. Okay. If I text you later and said, have a good night, how did I say it?
Have no idea.
Yeah. You would look and go, based on my last interaction, I'm going to assign the tone that he's being a smart aleck.
You know, Joe, I'm not going to get into personal stories at this juncture, but I can tell you there was a time or two in my personal life where I was ready to flush the phone because it flushed a great relationship in the making.
Absolutely. There was cell phone commercials that used to talk about that, how the text message didn't go through or the phone call didn't go through and you only heard certain words from the other party, right? So you could only build a certain thing. But in text messaging, if you and I argue and then I say, have a great day, it comes across as have a great day because we argued. The person reading the email, the instant message, or the text message gets to assign the tone. Right? So what I do is I sit down with people, and why I get to wear the sales genius hat is that I will design words that operate at 100%, knowing that I have no tonality and I have no body language to use. What are the most correct words to get the right picture in somebody's head?
You and their name.
Yep. And so when you deal with that, but what words, if I was going to turn around and tell you, well, if you just go down the street and hang a right, and that's my message to you, right? Instead of me saying, okay, and again, I used to hate the people that go, you're going to go north on this street, and then I'm like, don't give me, I have to go learn where north and east is to the right of the north. And, I have to remember all this stuff. But to me, the truth of it is that the more distinct your words are, the easier it is for somebody to follow the instructions. Now, if I take whatever is perfect in an email and I adapt it to the phone, right, then I can maximize those 20% because I'm using words that are 100% effective for an email, a text, or instant message. And I got that with my tonality. And if I've got it with my tonality, then all of a sudden I get more success. And if I take tonality that works and I take words that work over the phone and I use them face to face, we get called master communicators.
So what are examples of really good words? Because I could come up with about 100 really ineffective words from my past.
Yes, I think we all can. And most of us got the same list. At least half of it will be the same, right? But in the world of sales, okay, I don't ever use the word contract. I use the word agreement.
Exactly.
Okay. I will never say the words no problem unless they're separated by a bunch of words in between. But I don't say the words no problem, because if we think about this, communication is creating an image in somebody's head with the words I'm using.
Okay, so I saw this thing many years ago about Butler School, and they had these phrases that they droned into them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I thought was pretty slick, and it was no trouble at all. So in the Joe Ingram world,
I wouldn't say it.
Because the word no is there.
Right. And the brain does not process the negative. So the brain has to picture it. So if I say, JR, do not think of a blue tree right now. Right? What's there? Don't think of the pink elephant either. Okay. I said no and I said don't, but our brain thinks in pictures, sounds, and feelings. And if our brain is thinking in pictures, sounds, and feelings, then why aren't we controlling pictures, sounds, and feelings with our words and our tonality?
Well,
so for me,
right? I'm sorry, I never thought of it, not to interrupt. I never thought of it, but I used out of the 4 words, no trouble at all. No and trouble. So I'm starting it out already shooting both feet. Right.
You're starting out because I can't process the no. So if I told you right now, right, that it's just like when I said, don't look over here. Right. Well, if I said, don't look over here, you have to look over there to then say, don't.
Right.
Okay. If I said, do not, everybody who's watching, doesn't matter when this is playing, but everybody here, do not think of a cat right now. Okay. No kittens. Don't think of a kitten. Okay. What happens? It's got to pop in your head because we have to think of it first, then put that little red circle with the slash on it to say, no, don't do it. Okay. So again, what did we have in the 80s? And some people are gonna be like, I have no idea. Right. You're old. Right. We had a war on drugs. Okay. So just by the verbiage of a war on drugs meant we were going to always be fighting drugs.
Just say no.
Right? Just say no. Right? And so if you just said no, ugh for drug, right? Say ugh to drugs. That was a positive one. But if you said we're going to have a war on drugs, it meant we're fighting. By definition of war, there is no end. Right?
True.
It wasn't that we were going to find find that drugs are gone? How do we eliminate drugs from our world? Okay, that's different than us continuously fighting.
Yeah.
So you know Glenn Morshower, right? Glenn Morshower said he never came to Hollywood to break into acting.
Exactly.
Right? He never came here to struggle his way in. He said, I came to work. Right? How many of you came here to break into acting? I did. Okay, well, what does that imply? You're outside first trying to break in. And not a lot of break-ins are successful.
Exactly.
Right? And so control it. So customers don't like signing contracts. They like signing agreements. I don't say no problem. I say absolutely, certainly, or my pleasure. There's only one fast food restaurant out there that we give a day off to and say, we understand you're going to be closed on Sunday. We get it. You talk to us so nicely the other 6 days of the week. You still swipe my card the same as everybody else. You still hand me the bag the same as everybody else, right? Somebody may have a better... Somebody may have a better chicken sandwich, right?
They do it for you, though.
Right, but every time you say thank you, they say my pleasure.
Exactly.
My pleasure. And we go, oh, doesn't matter how many shades of gray are out there, okay? Pleasure has a good picture in your head. And so if you have a good picture in your head and I give that picture to you, now I don't have to know what is JR's definition of pleasure. I just say, it's my pleasure to be here. And JR's brain goes, oh, isn't that great? We gave him pleasure. We like him more because he likes doing things with us.
Nice.
So I'm going to be that person when it comes to communicating. And I'm going to be the one that walks them through. So a lot of my clients are in the automotive space. So I don't say, do you want to test drive the car? Right? Because when I ask you that question, I never ask yes or no questions if I can't handle the no.
You always ask with a yes or yes.
Well, I will always tell you it's going to be which one of the two choices do you want?
Exactly.
So I say to people, like I did a training and my wife was in my training, right? She decided she was going to take, she's a bigwig in the automotive space, but she said, I'm going to go through the training too. So she came in and I told everybody, I said, look, you don't walk up to a lady in the bar and say, can I buy you a drink? That's a yes or no question. Because she can say no. Then you feel like you got punched in the stomach. She feels bad saying it. So my wife says, oh, and what are you going to say? And I was like, I would walk up and say, right, would you like me to get you another one of these or you want something different for the next drink? Right? If they go, no, even their friends are going to call them out for saying that's not the right thing.
Okay. Single friends. Did you get your note?
Pay attention to that.
You need to start writing this stuff down because it'll increase your hit rate.
Yes. We're all about closing, right? So
unless you're just practicing for nothing, why are you here?
Right. We're here to take an attempt. If you're going to get an attempt, is there going to be a basket at the end of it? Okay. I wouldn't walk up and ask you that. I'd say, do you want to dance this dance or should we wait for the next song? Right. But either way, the answer is a dance.
With me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm going to go dance with him. Was not one of the options. Right?
I don't even see that, dude. We're talking about this.
Right. Who is that person? Yes. But I will tell you that, again, my answer was always, okay, let's take it for a spin around the block. Okay. Guess what? What is a spin around the block? It's the same thing I would do with JR at his house if he got a new car.
Exactly.
He would say, Joe, let's go take it around the block. Okay. Take it around the block. Okay. But absolutely, certainly my pleasure, of course. Right? That would be what's going to help you that's there. I see questions coming in. So Believe in Yourself said not ready for wife number 3 yet. So then stay out of the bar.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I didn't say, do you want to get married this week or next week? Right? I was just trying to get you to someone dance with you or you can get a drink, start a conversation. But
yeah, that's buying a drink is not a commitment. We can ask
Right.
any pretty lady in a bar that she's ready for her next drink and her next one and whatever.
Right.
Too much
and
information.
understand, guys, this is about communication with somebody else. If I walked up, and even if I had the best line possible, and I walk up going to say it, right? You're not going to. Sandy's going to run away, right?
Sandy's
She's like, I'm out of here. You know? But that's what I'm trying to say, is that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And if you can understand which medium you're in and adapt your actual delivery based on the medium you're in, it's going to improve your closing ratio. If you escalate your verbiage so that it stands alone without explanation, it's going to help you on the phone and help you with face-to-face.
So how do you evaluate which of the three types the person is?
So everyone will tell you what they are. Okay. So as we start talking, as we go through something, somebody who's visual will tell you they want to see something. Okay. Right. Your individual, Robert Brooker, that makes so much more sense now with all the comments out on YouTube. Believe in yourself. He just said, this is Robert Brooker. I'm like, no, I know Robert.
Yes. I knew that was Robert from the volume.
Yeah, I didn't know that part. I was just like, wow, he's familiar. But when you look at this and say, so I will tell you as an auditory person, as we start talking, right, I will tell you, okay, I hear where you're coming from. Okay. Auditory people point their ears towards you when you talk. A visual person.
Kind of like a dog where.
Absolutely. Woof, woof. I'm with you. Right. Dogs actually turn their head this way going, I don't get it. Right. But when you look at that, an auditory person turns their ear towards you. A visual person stares at your mouth. Right. You want to drive a visual person crazy? Talk to them like this. They're like, what? Right. Like I will play videos in my training. Visual people watch the little dot across the bottom of a music file or an audio file. They watch the little dot go through or watch the clock count down.
Let's bring Mitch Miller back.
So guys, but the answer is if I communicate, like if you go through one of my training, I know there's 3 ways to receive everything. So, and here's the best part. Okay. JR, if you're very visual, okay, and you're very visual and learn through your eyes, I know. And so when you're that way, okay, if I mess up on a couple words, it doesn't make a difference. But if I say something a second time differently than I did the first time, you don't hear it either because you're watching me. You're looking for the visual cues. So I can deliver the same message to all 3 different ones because the last one is my kinesthetic one. The kinesthetic person's like, I feel you. That's how they talk to you. They're like, I feel you. I get it. Right? They're the ones that have to take notes. That's how you know they're learning. Right? They're the ones that have to do things with their hands and go out there to look at it. You never have to fight them on a test drive. Okay? So when you look at that and you say, okay, the visual person goes, can you show me how this is going to work for me?
Yeah.
Right? The auditory person goes, can you tell me what's happening? Okay. Where my kinesthetic person that has to do things goes, hey, you know what? Can you write out what it is we're talking about? Can you? And they want words, not pictures. A visual person wants a picture.
So what percentage of, I'm not derailing, although it appears like right now I am, what percentage of your crowd is not automotive where it's going to be, although now automotive is not face-to-face anymore because of this COVID thing, it's online,
Yeah. So my business increased with COVID. My clientele did better because this is what I trained them for the years prior to this hitting. So my clients actually experienced a big uptick when it comes in, right? When everybody said, "Oh, we're going back to this." Now, I shifted because guess what also did? I can't go in and put 10 people in a room and have a training. And it's not cost effective for me to go in and train one person at a time. So we flipped to virtual trainings. Virtual training is not the same as in-house training, so price point changed. But I also picked up other automotive clients around the nation and into New Zealand.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about that. Some dude following you and stuff in the shadows and comes out and
in the shadows,
like, close that guy.
It was LinkedIn for over a year. He followed me. Okay, so we were connected on LinkedIn, but he never liked a post, never commented on a post. 12 months into it, he sends me a message on my website and says, "Dude, I've been following you for a year. I love all your content, and I want you to train my team. Can you put together something?" And I was like, "Let me put together a proposal." And you know how I put together the proposal? I put the proposal together in a PDF format. And then I did a screen capture with my little microphone.
Yes.
Right. And I explained everything on the page as if I was sitting across from them so that my auditory was right. The visual people aren't looking at me. They're looking at the page. And my kinesthetic person can feel the sincerity in my voice. And if they print off the paper, they can write notes. But so I know I've got to close a deal with somebody thousands of miles away.
That you don't know their styles. So you're hitting all three styles.
I'm just going to hit them all.
Okay, everybody, time out. This is why Joe Ingram is the freaking sales genius. Hello. If you haven't figured it out yet, that should be the clue. I'm just saying, Joe.
If my mic was cheaper, I'd drop it, but instead I'm going to drop my pen. Yes. Mics are expensive when you play that way.
Yeah, so, yeah.
But that's what I look at. And so to me, the answer is sales. To me, when I define sales, I say sales is me providing my prospect with a logical explanation, okay, to justify their emotional decision. Because almost every decision you're going to make is going to be emotionally based.
You know, and I agree. I heard, a lot of us in the sales field heard Zig Ziglar. Mm-hmm. And Zig said things were 80% emotional and 20% rational. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, they're 80% emotional and they're 20% emotional that was rationalized.
Absolutely.
It was 100%. There's no pure rational thought in a sales process.
We have Prius drivers.
Well,
okay. All right. We have Prius drivers. All of that is the logical explanation, and they can go out. Right. I laugh because all the electric cars you have to look at right now. I'm like, do you know how much forethought it takes to go a long distance if you have to find only certain places to charge? We don't have the infrastructure yet to say it is set up to go anywhere. Right.
And they're different charge systems. It's not like there's a universal charger yet, which,
Exactly. I have to map out my own stuff that's there. There's Tesla, and there's everybody else. And so unless you bought an adapter, you got to play one way or the other. But again, think about how much forethought has to come in. So it has to be a different kind of buyer that's willing to think out ahead of time. They're already saying, my electric bill goes down when I notify the power company. I don't pay for gasoline, right? So I don't have an extensive maintenance because not a lot of stuff is wearing out. So I'm going to justify that by spending more time plotting out my distance. And computers are smarter. Yeah.
Warning. The host is about to become combative here slightly.
Yes, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
So I'm going to stick by my guns because those people are hardcore greenies, and that's an emotional good feel for Mother Earth. So they're still emotionalizing a rational thought and using that in the totality of the purchase. I rest my case.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I will tell you, though, they have to be a logical person.
Exactly.
Right? Because they have to be able to do the work that they're rationalizing.
Right. There's a
right?
cognitive behavior that undergirds it, but
Because
ultimately,
when you look at personality types, there's a certain personality type that buys a certain car.
Exactly.
Right. And so there's a certain personality type that looks for a battery powered razor instead of a plug-in razor, or a rechargeable razor, or just a non-battery razor. Those are all defined by your personality type and where you place your value that goes in. But I just want to find somebody and say, what do you want to do? And I'm going to give you a rational explanation to justify, right? It has to be logical so that you can tell it to somebody else why you're doing this emotional thing you want to do. And if you can doctor that, you win.
So I have another corollary. One of the things I used to do was pause. A lot of people that are very effective that I've observed, it's not so much what you're saying, but it's when you, after you say something, like the old cliche of he who talks next is the one that loses type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's these pauses that aren't awkward. I don't like to use the word pregnant for a lot of reasons, but these pregnant pauses. What is your thought process as far as weaving that sort of breaking up the syncopation and the of us talking? Again, I'm talking not face to face, but on the phone or something.
I will tell you, whether it's face to face, over the phone, or anything else, the prospect dictates based off of their personality and their learning style.
Okay.
So, the person who says, bottom line it for me, right? I don't want to play any games. That's a personality type.
Right.
And that individual is not going to allow any kind of pause, because to them, that's an opportunity for them to talk.
Right.
Right. And so the second you give a pause, they're going to jump in.
And so take when control.
I'm going to stay in it. Now, for me, I don't have to give you a pause to be in control. I can give you choices.
Right.
And if I give you choices, you get to choose it. But I'm the one that gave you A or B. There could have been A, B, C, and D.
Exactly.
Right? So I get to giggle in the background and go, haha, I'm ultimately in control. You just think you're in control. Right? If you pause too much, there's only two personalities that evaluate the pause and would like it out of the four personalities. So it's a 50-50 chance. But it's up to you to read the client. The person that wants to read, the person that's going to go electric and do all that, wants to read the back of the contract, whether you call it agreement or not. I need all the details. They're the ones that's going to say, even if you said, I'm going to put solar in your house, I'm going to put it on your house, you don't have a payment, they're going to go, let me see everything, because somewhere there's something. Right?
Yeah,
another personality
free,
type
but mom's love
is going to be like, it's free. Woo! They're not going to read anything. Right? Yeah. They're just going to say, are you saving me on my bill? Great. Okay, fine. And they're going to sign and move forward. That person doesn't need a pause either, but there's going to be the person with the over detail, or the person who is afraid to make a decision. That person will always need the time, because they can't have you push them. You have to be helping them and nurture them through the process. Right? I can take a pause and then come back and go, JR, I think this is in the best interest for you moving forward because of this, this, and this. And then I pause. You'd
sort of be doing not so much a Ben Franklin, but a compilation of agreement type of close.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Very good.
But you have to make sure that person understands the benefit is for them.
Exactly.
Right? Ernest, how are you? When you look at somebody who wants to be in control, they don't really care about your input.
Exactly.
Okay. They want you to just guide them through. I'll just talk faster for those people so they think that we're just going to go through the process faster. And they're like, see, you sped up. I'm like, it still takes the same amount of time to write something out or type something up. But if I talk faster, you get the perception I'm hurrying, right? Which is what you want me to do. Right? The detail person, allow them the time to look at the details. The second you say, we don't have to do that, their answer is, you're hiding something and I'm not going to buy from you. The second you take the fun out of it, you lost the happy person that is there to buy whatever it is. They don't care if it's a stick of gum. They're buying the one with the biggest and cutest pack of gum. Right?
We used to call it the lay down.
Yep. That person just wants you to treat them nice. Come on. Treat me good and I'll be happy with you. Yes.
I've already bought it.
You just need you to get out of my way so I can do it. Yeah.
Man, there have been so many times in my young life where I was trying to show them the features, attributes, and benefits, and I just needed to close frequently and close often a little more often.
True.
Save everybody a whole lot of trouble.
Agreed. But if you stop and realize that think about how often do we these days, we don't because we're not allowed to go outside, but how often was it that you walked through and said, I just really want to walk in and not buy anything? And how many times did you end up coming home with something? Right? You said, I'm going to go to the mall and not buy a thing. But yet you came home with something because you ran into a salesperson who happened to match your personality. Right?
You don't know this, but I sold Mercedes in my box for a while. And there'd be people that would, I mean, it was the best job in town as far as if you're going to get into a sales job with automotive, you might as well have something that you want to have a nice car to take home.
Go sell the car that's the same price as a condo. Yeah,
exactly, or more. Right. But so many times people would just walk in and they tell me, I'm not here to buy, and I just want to kind of look because we're going to get a Honda. And then you start telling them about the safety crumple zones and all this other stuff and why it costs more. And that we're not using reprocessed metal, we're using virgin steel. So you're not driving literally a
comes from ugly robots.
Yeah.
Virgin steel.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, the original. But I mean, talk about the ultimate, because you can buy options with this car where one guy made the engine and he signed it.
Absolutely.
You're going to love
I will tell you this.
That.
There's 4 different types of personalities, right? So again, you can have all kinds of combinations, but we all have all 4. But there are, okay. He bought a Cornish game hen. That's what I thought. What was that? Yes. Carnation 85. Yeah.
It had a double R on it somewhere.
Right. When you look at that and you say, if the odds are of you running into someone like you, if your primary style is one of the 4, is 25%. The second you can utilize a secondary personality type of you, right? Then, and again, it's in you. If you could utilize a second form of your personality, you can get a 50% close ratio. But when you show up and you meet with somebody and that process flows without any issues, and they look at you, JR, and they go, I didn't even plan on buying today. That means you ran into somebody with your already default personality style. You didn't have to change. They didn't have to change. Right? Now, if I can adapt mine to yours, then you don't realize I adapted my personality and you think we were a match from the beginning.
Yep. Great. I'm glad you said that up front. Let me tell you about it. Let me show you some bells and whistles that you might not have seen on your advertising perusal.
Absolutely. I will tell you right now, crumple zones don't mean anything to me because I'm usually going too fast for them to work. So My answer is, how fast does it go 0 to 60, then do a 0 to 100, and then how fast can I go 100 to 0? Because if the brakes are better, I don't have to care about the crumple zones.
My kind of guy.
Yeah.
I hear a Sammy Hagar song in the background. I can't drive 55.
No, heck no, I can't. In a residential area, I can, but that's it. School zone, maybe. But
Yeah, understood.
So
it's been so much fun. Thank you for a great time, Joe.
Absolutely.
I hope everybody's learned something, because I sure as heck have. I've learned things to stop saying.
There you go. That's half the battle.
Yeah.
Right? How many times is what you said cost a deal, but nobody's going to say, well, because you said that, I had a different picture in my head than what you thought. Right? It's not going to put us there.
Oh, I gotta play this one before you go.
Nice. I agree.
It was a chick magnet.
Yes. I'm worried because that's chic. It's a chic magnet. Come on, man. There's a K at the end of chick.
Yeah.
What happened? Ernest, I'm getting worried about you.
Yeah. I'm getting worried because someone had to tell him that a Rolls was a chick magnet to begin with, bro.
Right. It's kind of just given that way. Yes.
I'll catch you in the back room. I'll see you in just a few.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Well, wasn't that a lovely time, everyone? I certainly learned a bunch of stuff, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in front of a camera here. Joe has so much information online. There, I will post a link afterwards where you can go to his materials. He is a wealth of information. This is no joke. I had him on the show because every time I hear him, I learn something. How many people can you say that about? Hopefully me. Listen, please like, please comment, please subscribe. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I certainly hope you're part of our journey. Thank you for taking the time to be with me. It's so good to see you.